Welcome to Comics League, and this is part 2 of our series on the week of the Batman. So once again, this whole week is going to be Batman-related content. Today we're talking about the top Batman comic book storylines. So first, I want to start off with a personal favorite of mine, Batman Earth 1 by Geoff Johns and art by Gary Frank. And what this shows, and it's kind of established in the Batman, this is like pretty much like, in my mind, the comic book version of the Matt Reeves Batman movie, because you see, this is like Batman like just starting off, he's making mistakes, and it's like, it's really, really, really cool. Like this one thing, like his grappling hook doesn't work, so he just falls. There's one, I think he goes into a window at some point. It's like really, really, really funny. And this also establishes like the relationship between Batman and Alfred. And I really like how they made Alfred in this one the one that taught Bruce Wayne how to fight. Once again, and they kind of played this off in the movie. They play off that Alfred was the chief of security for the Waynes. And as I talk about this is really like the Matt Reeves Batman movie. And then Alfred starts training Bruce Wayne to be a fighter and all that. So I really like that. It's got a really good storyline. You guys should check out Batman Earth 1. Next, this is a recent addition for me. Batman the Killing Joke. Now, yes, this is a Joker story, but this is like one of the quintessential Joker stories for him for fighting Batman. It was later retconned into canon. It's written by Alan Moore and art by Brian Boland. This is the one where like Barbara Gordon stops being Batgirl and where she's shot and she has to like become Oracle. Some people say she was better as Oracle because she gave disabled people their own superhero. This also establishes an origin for the Joker, like that he was a failed comedian. And this also shows partly why Batman's robes are so great, because they play off this whole one bad day trope thing now. Now, what do I mean by that? The Joker's point in this storyline is that one bad day can turn the nicest, tamest person ever into a serial killer like the Joker. And I feel like I'm going to talk about this in the video on why Batman's villains are compelling. That's why Batman's villains are so great, because they're really like regular people that just had a bad day and then they became who they became. Really, and it makes them super relatable. That's why Batman's villains are so like beloved in terms of like comic book fandom. Same thing with Spider-Man's villains. They're really the same. It's the same concept. Next, Batman Detective Comics Volume 1, The Rise of the Batman from DC Rebirth. What I like about this storyline is that it establishes that Kate Kane, Batwoman's father, has created an army of Batmen, and he's trying to take over Gotham City. Batman recruits a Clayface to join his new like Bat family, and it's got like Batwoman, Batman, Tim Drake, Spoiler, Orphan, and Clayface, and they have to train to be a team. Then at the end of it, Tim Drake supposedly dies, but he was really teleported away by Jor-El and like put in some kind of containment cell, I guess. Going back to the storyline to look at it, and yeah, he was put in some kind of containment cell by Mr. Oz, who would later become, who would later turn out, and I believe the Bendis run as Jor-El, and not really liking that. But besides the point, it established a sort of a mystery in Detective Comics Rebirth. This is written by James Tynion and multiple different artists. Next, this is another more recent addition to the Batman mythos, Batman 3 Jokers. Again, Joker story, but with this shows, this book is basically Batman, Jason Todd, and Barbara Gordon dealing with the trauma that the Joker has inflicted on them. And obviously Batman's his normal brooding self. This is written by Geoff Johns, art by Jason Fabel. Terrific creative team. And with this storyline, it still hasn't been retconned into canon, but I think it's canon, particularly since you take into account Darkseid War with the 3 Jokers. What I think is effective about this book is that it shows them dealing with trauma. And that's really what the Matt Reeves Batman movie was about is Bruce Wayne dealing with the trauma of losing his parents. That's what every Batman movie is about. It's about him trying to deal with the trauma of losing his parents. And the Batman mission is just so no one has to experience that same trauma ever again. And that's what makes Batman such a great character. And once again, I'll talk about that in the next video. So that's that. Next, Batman Hush. Cool thing about this is that ultimately it's a Riddler. It turns out I think the Riddler is the main bad guy who like set up Thomas Elliot and stuff. He's trying to figure out who Batman is. So it's a Riddler story. It's written by Jeff Loeb, art by Jim Lee. So the art is, as the lead, is going to be gorgeous because it's Jim Lee. And it's like, I would call this book basically how many Batman villains can be thrown into a book. And this is the example of sometimes throwing in a bunch of villains can work, sometimes it can't. But regardless, it's really good. It's one of my favorite storylines. I know I have a lot of hot takes on the show. I sound like Vlad. But this really plays off of Batman and Catwoman's relationship too, because I believe that this is the first time they officially became a couple. So that's where I would go for that. Those are like my top 5 Batman stories. If you guys have your own, drop them in the comments and I'll be sure to check those out and maybe I'll review them on the show. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Stay heroic, everyone. Bye-bye.